In 1987, the USS Stark was hit by two Exocet missiles fired from an Iraqi fighter jet. 37 sailors died. The ship's defense systems never fired a single shot. That incident exposed something the Navy already suspected, but hadn't been forced to confront. The speed of incoming threats was outpacing the speed of human decision-making. A missile traveling at Mach 0.9 gives you maybe 30 seconds to detect, track, decide, and fire. 30 seconds. And that was 1987. Today's anti-ship missiles travel at Mach 3, some at Mach 7. The math is simple. The faster the threat, the less time you have. And at some point, you run out of time entirely. For 40 years, the Navy's answer to this problem has been the same. Build faster interceptors, build smarter radars, build more layers of defense, and every single one of those answers has worked, until the next generation of threats made them insufficient. This is the story of how the US Navy went from bullets to lasers. Not because lasers are futuristic, because everything else is running out of time. After the Stark disaster, the Navy accelerated deployment of the Phalanx CIWS. You've probably seen it. That white dome on the deck of nearly every U.S. warship. Inside is a 20mm Gatling gun that fires 4,500 rounds per minute. The concept was elegant. If a missile gets past every other defense, Phalanx is the last wall. It detects, tracks, and engages incoming threats automatically. No human in the loop. The system decides to fire on its own because by the time a missile is that close, there's no time to ask permission. And it worked, for a while. The problem with Phalanx is physics. A 20mm round travels at roughly 3,600 feet per second. An incoming anti-ship missile is closing at 2,000 to 3,000 feet per second. The engagement window, the distance at which Phalanx can actually hit the target before it hits you, is about 1,500 meters. That's less than a mile. At those speeds and distances, you get maybe 2 to 3 seconds of firing time. If the first burst misses, there is no second chance. Now multiply the problem. What happens when, instead of one missile, there are 4 or 12? Phalanx engages one target at a time. It physically rotates to track. Against a saturation attack, multiple missiles arriving from different angles simultaneously, Phalanx can kill one, maybe 2. The rest get through. The Navy knew this was a vulnerability, and they knew the next generation of threats would exploit it. So the Navy built another layer. The Rolling Airframe Missile, RAM, a small, fast interceptor designed to kill incoming missiles at ranges beyond Phalanx's reach. Where Phalanx gives you 1,500 meters, RAM gives you 9 kilometers. That's a significant improvement. More range means more time. More time means more shots. More shots means higher probability of kill. And beyond RAM sits the SM-2. Then, the SM-6, ship-launched missiles capable of intercepting threats at ranges of over 100 nautical miles. The layered defense concept. Threats enter a series of kill zones, each one closer to the ship. Anything that survives the outer layers gets killed by the inner layers. At least, that's the theory. And in practice, it works. The U.S. Navy's layered defense is arguably the most sophisticated anti-air system ever deployed at sea. But it has a flaw, not in capability, in economics. An SM-2 missile costs approximately $2 million. An SM-6 costs over $4 million. A RAM costs roughly $1 million. Now consider what these missiles are being asked to kill. In the Red Sea right now, Houthi forces are launching drones that cost somewhere between $2,000 and $50,000. They're launching modified cruise missiles that cost a few $100,000 at most. Do the math. The Navy is spending $4 million to destroy a $50,000 drone. And the Houthis have more drones than the Navy has missiles. This is the cost inversion problem. When your interceptor costs 100 times more than the threat, you lose even when you win. Every successful intercept drains your magazine. Every drone you kill makes you weaker. The attacker doesn't need to sink your ship. They just need to empty your missile cells. The USS Carney, operating in the Red Sea in late 2023, expended dozens of SM-2 and SM-6 missiles against Houthi attacks over a period of weeks. Each engagement was successful. Every threat was neutralized. But the ship's vertical launch cells were being depleted. And reloading at sea isn't like refueling. You need a port. You need a crane. You need time. This is the trap. The technology works perfectly, and the strategy still fails. Not because the missiles miss, because you run out of them. A laser beam travels at 186,000 miles per second. There is no faster weapon possible under the laws of physics. But speed isn't even the real advantage. Consider what a laser engagement looks like compared to a missile engagement. A missile interceptor requires propellant, a guidance system, a warhead, fins, a motor, a launch cell, and a maintenance crew. Every shot is a physical object that you carry in limited quantities, and once it's gone, it's gone. A laser requires electricity, that's it. As long as the ship's power plant is running, the weapon has ammunition. A nuclear-powered warship generates enough electricity to fire a laser essentially unlimited times. The cost per shot is estimated at between $1 and $10, not $1 million, $1. The engagement sequence changes too. A missile needs time to fly to its target. A laser arrives instantly. There is no flight time. There is no intercept calculation. You point it, you fire it, and the target is receiving energy at the speed of light. Against a drone swarm, the exact scenario that makes missile defense unsustainable, a laser can engage targets sequentially, one after another, without reloading, without cost concerns, without depleting a finite magazine. This isn't an incremental improvement. This is a different category of weapon. The Navy isn't theorizing about this. It's deployed. The Odin system, optical dazzling interdictor, Navy, has been installed on Arleigh Burke-class destroyers since 2019. It's not designed to destroy targets. It blinds sensors. If an incoming missile relies on an infrared seeker to find your ship, Odin can overwhelm that seeker with directed energy. The missile goes blind. It misses. HELIOS goes further. The high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance is a 60-kilowatt solid-state laser deployed aboard USS Preble in 2022. Unlike Odin, HELIOS is designed to kill. At 60 kilowatts, it can burn through the casing of a small boat, destroy a drone in flight, or disable the seeker head of an incoming missile. 60 kilowatts is the starting point. The Navy's roadmap calls for 150 kilowatt systems by 2025 and 300 kilowatt systems within the decade. At 300 kilowatts, you're burning through hardened military targets at ranges of several miles. The USS Portland tested the LWSD, Laser Weapon System Demonstrator, a 150 kilowatt system, and successfully destroyed a drone in flight during Pacific exercises. The beam was invisible. The drone simply fell out of the sky. Here's what matters about these deployments. They're not experimental platforms sitting in a lab. They're installed on active warships operating in real theaters. HELIOS is on a destroyer that deploys to the Western Pacific. Odin has been in the Middle East. These weapons are already part of the fleet. So if lasers are this effective, why hasn't the Navy replaced everything else? 3 reasons. First, atmospheric interference. A laser beam loses energy as it travels through air. Humidity, rain, fog, salt spray, all of these scatter and absorb photons. In the middle of the Pacific on a clear day, a laser performs beautifully. In the North Atlantic in winter, with heavy fog and sea spray, that same laser might lose half its effective range. Missiles don't care about weather. A laser does. Second, power generation. A 60-kilowatt laser is manageable on current ship power plants. A 300-kilowatt laser requires significant electrical capacity. At the megawatt level, which is where you need to be to kill hypersonic missiles at range, you're talking about power demands that would strain even a nuclear reactor's output. The Navy is redesigning its power distribution architecture for future ships, specifically to accommodate directed energy weapons. The DDG-X, Next Generation Destroyer, is being built from the keel up with integrated power systems designed for laser weapons. But that ship won't be operational until the 2030s. Third, and most importantly, range hierarchy. A laser at current power levels is effective at short to medium ranges, maybe a few miles. An SM-6 can kill a target at over 200 miles. Against a ballistic missile descending from space, you need the intercept to happen at extreme altitude and distance. Lasers can't do that yet, so the answer isn't lasers replacing missiles. It's lasers filling the gap that missiles can't afford to fill. The cheap threats, drones, small boats, subsonic cruise missiles, those belong to lasers. The expensive threats, hypersonic missiles, ballistic warheads, those still belong to SM-6 and whatever comes next. The Navy isn't replacing its arsenal, it's restructuring which weapon kills which target based on cost efficiency. And that restructuring changes everything about how a carrier strike group operates. The missile magazine is no longer a countdown clock. The laser handles the volume threats. The missiles are preserved for the targets that actually matter. This is why the Navy calls it a game changer. Not because of what the laser can do, because of what it allows everything else to do. The Houthis taught the Navy a lesson in the Red Sea. The lesson wasn't that missiles don't work. The lesson was that using a $4 million missile against a $50,000 drone is a strategy with an expiration date. Lasers don't have an expiration date. They have a power cable. And in the next video, we'll pull back further and look at the full picture. Every single layer of defense protecting a U.S. aircraft carrier, from the outermost screen to the last wall. Because the laser is just one piece. And the way those pieces fit together is more impressive than any single weapon.